and their Welcome guys, welcome to Ollywood online classes. Today we are going to see general economics, under that introduction of economics and their basic concepts and principles. We'll see that. Now we will see what is economics, from where it has been derived from. Economic has been derived from an ancient Greek word called economics. Oikos means household and nemen means management. So which means it is very simple, management of households. How we are managing our family. That is called what? Economics. Which means every day in, day out, you and me are doing this. It is very simple. So how we are managing with our limited resources, how we are managing, we are budgeting, we are planning, all those things are what? Economics. Earlier, the subject was called as political economy. But in the 19th century, Alfred Marshall, he is an economist, he renamed this into economics. All right. Now we will see one by one how economics has taken its development, how the subject has changed from its own spheres. It stage by stage, all the economists have added their views to the subject, and now we got a wholesome subject as economics. Now we call that as various definitions, and those are treated as various eras: classical era, neoclassical era, new age, and modern age. In that classical era, Adam Smith, one of the most popular definition, that is called wealth definition. Adam Smith is called as father of economics, and he gave a definition for economics, and that definition is called as wealth definition. Then Alfred Marshall, he was coming from neoclassical era, and he gave his definitions for economics, and that is called as welfare definition. And little later, where we represent that as a new age, there Lionel Robbins came and he gave his own definition for economics, and that is called as scarcity definition. And in the modern age, the Nobel laureate Paul A. Samuelson, he came and he gave a definition which is considered as, full lump sum or wholesome definition. Till now, we are considering that as a wholesome definition for economics, and such definition is called as growth definition. Now we will see one by one what are the definitions are and what has been explained there. Now first one, wealth definition. It is given by Adam Smith. It is called as Science of Wealth. He has written a book that named An Enquiry into the Nature and Causes of Wealth of Nations. In that, he said economics is nothing but it tells you how, or it helps you to determine how to increase your wealth, how a nation can expand their power, expand their wealth. So what happens in his definition, if you read, economics inquires into the factors that determine wealth of a country and its growth. So he clearly said it determines what? It helps to determine, or it helps to identify what? How a country can increase their wealth, how a country can grow. So, but what happened? Adam Smith's definition has suffered a lot of criticisms. Why? Because he laid main emphasis on what? Wealth creation. All right, we'll see that. Now, criticism on such definitions were, it was considered only the wealth. He never considered about what? Welfare of the people. He never considered the human welfare over there. A country cannot be a developed nation only if it has very big numbers when the people are suffering. When there is no human welfare in that country, if the country is having very big numbers, it doesn't mean it is a developed nation. And that is why when Ruskin and Carl were another economist, condemned this definition as what? Dismal science. Why? Because you are talking only about what? Wealth, only about money, which is against your ethics. Because if you want to expand your money, if you want to increase your money, you can just whatever ways you want. So again, you are teaching what? Selfishness. So they treated this as what? dismal signs. This is one of the severe criticism which is laid on wealth definition. All right. Next one is welfare definition. It is proposed or it is given by Alfred Marshall in his book Principles of Economics 1890. All right, we will read the definition and we will decode it. What is it in there? Now, he said political economy or economics. In the earlier slide itself, we saw that. Who renamed this political economy to economics? Alfred Marshall. The subject was changed from political economy to economics. He said that it is a study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. So he is telling what? You will study about a human, you will study about a man in its ordinary business of life. And it examines that part of individual and the social action which is most closely connected with attainment and with the use of material requisites of well-being. So how well the individual is behaving with himself and behaving with others, that is social action. Related to what? How he is attaining, how he is achieving, or how he is earning, all right? How he is able to attain its material requisites of what? Well-being. It talks about what? How a mankind, or it study a human, how he behaves in his ordinary business, ordinary life, all right? And how he behaves with the society in relation to what? In relation to achieving his well-being. And in that well-being, he added the word called material requisites. Again, it is a similar emphasis of materiality. Materiality means wealth. Material requisites means you are talking about which can be measured in monetary terms. So he was talking about monetary terms of well-being. So thus, it is on one side study of wealth, and the other and the important side is what? Man. You remember in Adam Smith, he talked only about what? Wealth. But Alfred Marshall, what he said, I agree with wealth, but it is not only wealth, but also you have to study about what? Human behavior. All right. Whether there are any criticism for Alfred Marshall also? Yes, of course. We will see that. Now here if you see Lionel Robbins, who gave us the scarcity definition, he criticized Marshall definition. And for what? You are, which means Marshall has confined his attention only to what? Material welfare. You're talking only the monetary terms of welfare. There are various things which cannot be measured in terms of what? Money. There are certain services which can't be measured in terms of money. That and all Marshall didn't care about, or Marshall didn't consider. So what Robbins said that, no, you didn't consider about the immaterial welfare. You talks only about what? Not immaterial, I'm sorry, non-material welfares. You only talk about which one? Material welfare. There are services or there are things which cannot be measured in terms of money. I'll tell you examples of whom? Doctors. At the time of you can't measure their services in terms of all the time. You cannot measure them in terms of money. So it lacks what? Immaterial welfare, or the things which cannot be measured in terms of money. That is the main criticism laid on welfare definition. Next one is scarcity definition. Who gave this? Lionel Robbins gave this. He published a book in the year 1932, and that book is an essay on the nature and significance of economic science. In that, what he told, we'll see. Economics is a science which studies human behavior. All right, this also covered in where? Alfred Marshall, right? The same thing, studies a human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. Now, what does it mean, ends and scarce means? We'll see one by one. Here, ends means human wants. Always understand, guys, why we are doing all those things, why we are earning, why we are working, everything to satisfy our wish, satisfy our desire, right? Why country is, doing all these things, various policies, various governments, why? Because they want to satisfy their own country need. That is the ultimate aim, right? So that need is nothing but end. Ends. That need is nothing but what? Ends. Ends means human wants. And what does the scarce means? Scarce means nothing but resources. Means what? Resources meant resources. All right. What does it mean, resources? I'll tell you a simple example. I have, now I wanted to have a coffee. Now I wanted to have a coffee. Now that is my desire. Coffee is what? My desire. All right. This is my end. This is my ends. That is my want. Now to have this coffee, I need what? I should need what? Money. I should need what? Money. I should have money because I have to go to a shop. I have to pay 10 rupees or 20 rupees, whatever it is, to get that 1 cup of coffee, right? So I need what? Money. Now, with this money, I can satisfy my wants. Now, this money is nothing but resources. This money is nothing but what? Resources. And this is called means. This is called what? Resources or means. But here he used the word called scarce. Scarce means what? Limited. Limited. Tell me whether have we all have enough money in our hand? We will say, no, I have enough money. I don't want any further money. I have all the money. With that, I can satisfy all my wants. Nobody. Yes or no? Yeah, we have limited money and with that we have to satisfy our wants. It is quite simple, right? So not only money, all the resources, even in any country if you take, the resources are scarce or very limited. You are getting it? So resources, scarce means limited resources. So what Robin is telling? It studies a human behavior as a relationship between what? Your wishes, that is your wants, and your limited resources, which have alternative uses. Which means your resources have what? Alternative uses. Of course, yes, if I have a money, either I can buy a coffee, or I can buy a dress, or I can travel, or I can pay my fees. So many things I can do. So the money has various purposes. All right. So now, ma'am, why they are giving this? What does it mean? Why? Because he told that there comes prioritizing, planning. So once you have, every month you will do budget. No, that is nothing but scarcity definition. When you have 10,000 rupees money in your hand as a salary on first date, what you will do? 2,000 rupees for rent. We have to give this first. And 3,000 rupees for this. 3,000 rupees for that. You keep on segregating and you will fix it, and whichever is important, you will satisfy those. Then if you have leftover, then you will go on with spending. Correct? So what are you doing over there? There you have a limited source, limited resource in your hand, that is your salary. And you have unlimited wants in one side. You have to pay rent, you have to pay electricity bill, you have to pay your fees, you have to you have to go for shopping, you have to go for movie, you have to go for restaurant. So many desires are there. Yes or no? So in that case, how well you are going to do this, how well you are going to behave with this relationship, how you are going to prioritizing. Studying about this is called economics. So this is what we are doing what? Every day in, day out. So Lionel Robin gave a scarcity definition which tells us that it is a study about what? Human behavior as a relationship between what and what? Ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. Now, do this definition also suffers from any criticism? Yes. What is it? If it is good, no, every day we are indulging in this, and then why there is a criticism? Yes, in this what happened, he was talking only about, neutral. He was very neutral. Whether it is a good desire or bad desire, whether it is good for the people or not, he doesn't bother about all those things. He doesn't speak about all those things. All right. So what people have told, his definition is very neutral. His definition is, it is not very positive in nature. It is not normative. What does it mean, positive, normative? We will study in the future slide so that you will come to understand why I use this word. All right. So they say that there is no distinction between which is good and bad in his definition. He simply says that you have a resource in your hand which has a multiple uses, and you have desire in your hand, and you will satisfy according to your own wish. There is no prioritizing, or there is no a chart which says that this should be, you have to react like this, you have to do like that. Nothing of that sort. It just talks about how a human will behave, will satisfy his wants with his limited resources. That is the first criticism. Second one, here he talks about as human behavior, but the macroeconomics was not considered as a whole what it is, as a nation as a whole what it is. So that concept was not considered. And moreover, he never talked about any growth in future, what you are going to do, how the economy will be growing, or in what sphere it will be developing. He never told about this in this definition. So these are all the criticisms for scarcity definition. Next comes growth definition, which everybody accepted till date, and we feel it as if it is some lump sum definition, which is good comparative to all the three definitions. Now, who defined it? Paul A. Samuelson defined this definition. All right, Paul A. Samuelson, in his book An Introductory Analysis in 1948, he gave this definition. Under that, what he said we will read now: the study of how men and society choose, all right, with or without. See here, he has told men also, and he has told what? Society also. So he has covered both the things. Next, choose with or without use of money. So what happens? Alfred Marshall was talking only about material well-being. Here, Paul A. Samuelson covered with or without, means it can be measured in terms of money or it cannot be measured in terms of money. Both are included. That is what he is telling. To employ scarce productive resources which could have alternative uses. The same thing we studied in Lionel Robin, yes or no? Right? To produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now and in the future among various people and groups of society. By this time, you would have come across that, yes, he has covered all the loopholes in the all other three definitions. Yes or no? Because he is not only talking about money, he is talking about with or without the use of money. Means he's covered both, and he's talked about men, that is individual, and he talked about the society also. He talked about that resources are scarce, yes, and you can put that resources to various uses, yes. And moreover, the topmost is he talked about how we are going to produce over a time period. He never, in all the three definitions, they never talked about a time element over there. Here, he included the time element. And see here, and distribute them for consumption. How you are going to distribute for the consumption among the people? Not only now, but also when? Future. All right. So he has given each and every sphere, he has covered each and every aspect which was lagging in all the three definitions, right? That is why still this definition considered to be a good or, lump sum definition under economics. Sorry. Yeah. Now, what are the implications we will see now? See, like Robbins also has already told, he also told what? Yes. Samuelson also tells, yes, the resources are what? Scarce. And you have unlimited wants, but it can be put to alternative uses, yes. But what he has added in? Time element added. He talked about growth, which none of the three definitions have talked about, right? So Samuelson talked about what? Growth also. He has talked about time element also. And it is suitable for barter economy. Barter means what? Exchange. Goods for goods, right? Barter economy. Because he used the word with or without use of what? Money. So, and also he covered various aspects like what? Production, distribution, and consumption. All right. So here Samuelson treats economics as what? Of social science, which talks about everything. Whereas Robin regarded it as what? Individual behavior. All right. So this is growth definition. Now we have seen all the definitions of economics. Now we have seen what? All the definitions of economics. Now we are moving ahead with nature of economics. All right, what does it mean, nature? Because everybody there, they were telling science of wealth, science of growth. Now, what is it? Is it a science or it is an art? First understand what is a science. Science means it is nothing but it is a systematized body of knowledge. If a plus b the whole square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab means yes. Because it tells you if this is the root, this is the cause, and this is the effect, then that is called science, right? Science which gives you a knowledge, which means this is how it will be. It will tell you how it will be and how we can get the results. So that is called science. Arts means what? It tells you how to do a particular thing. It tells you or it gives you guidance to do a particular thing or to achieve your goal. That is called arts. All right. Now the question is whether economics is a science or whether it is an art. The answer is it is both. It is a combination of science and then arts. Few theories in economics where we call that as scientific theories, and few theories in arts we call that as, in economics we call that as art theory, which means some theories will tell what is a root cause or how the impact will be, all those things, and some theories will help you to overcome some obstacles. So that is why economics is a combination of both science and then art. Now, when we talk about science and an art, again, science is divided into positive science and normative science. And under arts, it is pure and applied, means it is a simple nature of another part of your economics. That's it. Now we will see what is meant by positive and what is meant by normative. This is what I have used in your earlier slides. I hope you remember, right? Now, when we talk about positive or normative, first understand what does it mean. Positive science means it tells us what it is or what was it. That's it. It tells us the fact. It tells us what? Fact. It tells us what is there. That's it. It tells us why it has happened. How. That's it. It will tell you. But whereas normative means what? It tells us what ought to be, how it has to be, how it should be. Which means what? It tells you judgments. It is subjective. All right, it is subjective. We can say it is a recommendation. All right, positive means what? What it is. But normative means what? What ought to be. That keyword is what? Ought to be. Ought means what? How it has to be, how it should be. So normative science means it talks about how a theory or how you have to be, how the situation has to be handled. So that is called normative science. Whereas positive science, yes, this is the thing, this is the fact, this is the case. That's it. It tells you what is it, what is there. That's it. All right. So that is called positive and normative. So under economics, we have positive approaches in few places and we have normative approaches in few places. So economics is a combination of both positive and normative. If you talk about Lionel Robin, he will call economics as what? Positive, because according to him, what? You have a resource and you have wants and you have to how you are satisfying, how you are going to satisfy. That is up to you. So that is positive science, right? Whereas Alfred Marshall talks about what? Welfare. Then he will be coming under what? Normative. He talks about, no, it has to be like this, it has to be like that. You have to think about the human welfare also. Then he will come under which science? Normative science. All right. So economics, first thing, it is a combination of both art and science. And under science also, it is a combination of both positive and normative science. Hope you understood. See you in the next video, guys. Wish you all the best. Thank you.